Hello, guys, and welcome to P3 Educates live series. And today I'm here with David Howard Thornton, who is an actor, and he was in the horror movie Terrifier. David, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
So we're gonna start off here, and can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm David Howard Thornton. You might know me as Art the Clown from the movie Terrifier, but before that, I did a lot of voiceover work for a few animated series for kids like Super Wings and gosh, what else was there? Bravest Knight, and I've done a few video games as well, like
Nice.
Ride to Hell Retribution, which was a horrible game, but I still did that, and some Invizimals and stuff like that. But I also used to tour with How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical, for 5 years. I played
Nice.
Grandpa Who and also understudied the Grinch. And our Grinch was the amazingly talented Stephen Carl, who was Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town, if anybody's
Cool.
familiar with that show. So yeah. And I've done a
Nice.
lot of stage work as well. That's what I grew up doing, was a lot of musical theater. So
Nice. How'd you get into theater or movies in general?
basically I was born doing that kind of stuff. My parents were very involved doing like church theater when I was really little, and it just kind of progressed from there. I started doing like school theater, and I enjoyed doing that a lot. So I progressed doing community theater. Then I went to college, but I got a degree in elementary education because I was trying to be pragmatic in my
Yeah.
life. And I'm in, it's kind of funny, but I was in my final semester in school doing my internship. And I decided I didn't want to teach anymore. I wanted to
Yeah.
go into acting full time, and so I finished up my degree and then moved up to New York City and started pursuing this as a career. And it took me about 13 years to get it going, but it finally started to take off. So
Nice, and it's paid you off well. I'm guessing,
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
can't complain now. It's
yeah,
just it's a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance. You just have to chug along, and keep
yeah,
one thing leads to another, to another, to another. So that's how I look at it.
yeah. That's great.
That's
It's always good to
advice I
have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like it's advice I give every actor. It's like, if you really want to do this, you have to really want it, and you have to be willing to commit to it, because overnight success is very, very rare, and
hmm
it takes years of just building up your repertoire, and
yeah,
your resume and networking, and just building yourself up to a certain level.
yeah. Networking is very important in general, especially in theater. Of course. Do you want to talk about the process of movie making and what that looks like?
Yeah, it's a lot of hurry up and waiting.
Yeah,
It's just, when you're on the acting side of it, it's like it's people don't really realize how much the crew does. I,
yeah,
I would say the crew does more than the actors. It's like they have the harder job because they have to set up everything. They are working full time.
hmm
They're on there, they have to set up all the lighting, all the sound, and whatnot, all the practical effects, while
hmm
you're sitting there in your makeup and costume and just waiting to go on. So,
yeah.
but it's one of those, it's an arduous process. I've had days where I've been on set for 20 hours,
Oh
and
wow, that's
oh
crazy.
yeah, oh yeah, a lot of coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Coffee keeps you going.
Oh yeah, yeah, but you gotta love doing it, and it's a lot of fun though. It's a lot of fun, and those days usually fly by pretty quickly too, because you're having so much fun.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, it's great. I love that. It's good. It's great to get that experience and have that experience of being on set and doing what you're doing, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's like I get paid to play around and be other people. I'm like, yeah, this
Yeah,
is this is a great job.
yeah. That's great.
Yeah, even when I'm working in like sub-zero temperatures, and it's like, I'm on hour 15 and my makeup's starting to fall apart, so they have
Yeah.
to take me to triage and reattach, and I still have to remind myself, like, yeah, so many people would kill to be where I am right
Oh
now, so
yeah,
I'm very
definitely
lucky to be doing this. So yeah.
for sure. Do you have a favorite part of the movie process?
Oh gosh, I would say just when they say action. I love just being in the moment and just playing around with things, because like Damien allows me to do a lot of improvisation while I'm on set and everything
Uh-huh.
like that. So it depends on the scene. And so there are times where he's just like, go ahead and just play around with, come up with different ideas, and we'll
Yeah.
see what we use. And other times he knows exactly what he wants me to do. So
Mm-hmm.
but it's always fun. It's always fun.
That's great. How long does it take for makeup for Art the Clown?
That usually takes about 3 hours to put all that on for me, which
Wow.
is, yeah, that's a long process. But you get used to it, and I'm always yakking my head off during all that, so it's
Yeah.
that helps pass the time. So
Yeah, for sure. Do you stay still for that? Like for some places, or can you talk fine and no one cares?
yeah, a little bit of both. But I've gotten really good at ventriloquism, so
Oh, really? Nice. Is
yeah,
that something
I
you're
it,
pursuing other than this? Are you
no,
going
no,
on no
I've
just for fun?
just learned to talk with my mouth closed.
Nice. That's great. It's
Yeah,
another talent you have.
yeah, it works.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What would you say your inspiration is for what was your inspiration for Art the Clown?
Oh gosh, so many different people and different, characters. And like, first of all, I pulled a lot from great horror villains. So, I've put a
Yeah.
lot of all these different slasher icons into art. I think I would say there's a little bit of every single horror villain that's come before me in art. Everyone from
Mm-hmm.
Freddy Krueger to Michael Myers to
Yeah.
Pinhead, Leatherface, Chucky,
Mm-hmm.
Jigsaw, all of them that are inside of art. So I have that,
Yeah.
but I also pulled from my love of great silent clowns and comedians and great physical actors like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton,
Mm-hmm.
Harpo Marx, Jim Carrey, Rowan
Yeah.
Atkinson, Doug Jones, and also my friend Stefan. They're all just great physical actors, and you don't really see that kind of acting anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a dying art form, and I'm very happy to be able to bring that back in a way, and in a very
Yeah.
different way, because you don't usually see that kind of acting in a horror film of all places. So
Mm-hmm. For sure.
it's kind of fun. So I just kind of blended those two realms together, and that's what art is. I kind of look at it as being like the bastard son of Charlie Chaplin and not really well, Harpo Marx and Freddy Krueger, I would say. Yeah, because he's
Nice.
got the hat, so
Yes.
the
Yes.
hat and the horn. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What would you say the best part of your job is going off that?
what's that?
What would you say the best part of your job is in movie making?
Oh God, it's just I would say just being able to do it is
Yeah.
that's the best part of it all. It's something I've always wanted to do. It's fun for me because I get to be someone else for a little while, and
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
always fun. And it's like, and I like to play really interesting characters too. I've never wanted to play like the romantic lead or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like playing the sidekicks, like the silly sidekicks or
Yeah.
the villains, and so it's and with art, he's a little bit of a villain, and he's also a little bit silly too. So it's like best of both worlds for me.
Yeah. That's great. Did you choose horror, or is that a genre you enjoy doing?
I just fell into it. I've always done comedy. All the plays I
Mm-hmm.
would do were always comedies, and this fell in. I just saw an audition notice for this role, and I was already familiar with the character because I had seen the original movie
Yeah.
All Hallows Eve, where Art was played by a different
Mm-hmm.
person, Mike Gianelli, and I love the character. And I remember seeing it. I was like, God, I would love a chance to play a character like that. He's like the evil Mr. Bean. I
Yeah.
would love
Yeah.
that chance because there's a lot I could do with that. And it so happened that I saw this audition notice. I was like, oh my God, I'm perfect for this because they needed a tall, skinny guy that had that experience of doing physical comedy to play him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is perfect. So yeah, I was like, and at that point, I had never really done film work. I'd always done stage. I'd done maybe some extra work, but nothing really
Mm-hmm.
big in film. And I was like, well, this, because I saw it was an independent film. So I was like, well, who knows if this will go anywhere? But I looked at it as a great way to get some experience doing film work and
Yeah.
really understand how things really work on a set, learn all the lingo and all that kind of stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be a great opportunity for me. I didn't expect it to really take off like it did, and so that was
Yeah.
just an added benefit of it all.
Nice. How long is the movie making process of in general, like what how would you say how long would you say?
It takes a while. It depends on the film and like the type of film as well. Like like the first film took about a year and a half to film off and on because
Okay, yeah.
we originally filmed it because we would sometimes film days back to back,
Mm-hmm.
but then sometimes we would have to like film one scene then come back a few weeks later and do another
Yeah.
scene because Damon had to build the prosthetics and stuff like that for
Mm-hmm.
everything. So that takes time. Then we came back and refilmed some things and added some new scenes after we had
Nice.
originally wrapped. I wrapped like 4 different times for it. This time we originally started filming for Terrifier 2 in October of last year, and we were supposed to be done by the end of March, and then
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic happened. So that
Yeah.
was really we were so close to being finished,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
like I think I had maybe like 4 or 5 more scenes to film, and that was
Mm-hmm.
it. I was like, oh, you've got to be
Yeah.
kidding me.
I know, right? It's
So yeah,
crazy.
so but we're slowly finishing everything up. I think I had maybe like 1 or 2 more scenes to film.
Nice. Is there anything you can do now while you're in, I mean, can you do anything online with that?
Yeah, well, we've done like because here in New York we're at fourth stage opening, so we're able to start filming again. But we have to
Uh-huh.
be very careful because also SAG's got all these regulations in
Yeah,
place
yeah.
now too. So it's just we have basically a bare bones crew, and we're all having like social distance like crazy and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We don't even allow anybody on set if they've not been quarantining
Oh yeah,
themselves.
okay.
So we're because like especially because one of our producers has he had a major heart
Oh,
surgery last year, so he's at very high risk for
mm-hmm.
all this. So
Yeah,
we're all trying to take care of him and all that. So, but
that's good.
yeah, we're still finding ways to film when we can and stuff like that. So it's just like it's
Nice.
smaller crew, but we're getting it done.
Mm-hmm. Do you enjoy watching yourself at like have you do you enjoy watching yourself after you film? Like did you you know
I have usually hated watching myself. I'm like my worst critic. Like
yeah.
everything I'd ever like done before, even like stage plays, I always hated watching like the tapes of them. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh god, I could have done this
Yeah,
better.
I
I'm
messed
like,
up here,
I
whatever.
was like,
Yeah.
and people are like, no, you're fantastic. I'm like, no, no, that was horrible. That was a horrible read on that line. I'm just like,
Yep.
I'm my worst critic. But like when I saw Terrifier, that was like the first time I actually enjoyed watching myself. I'm like, oh, I did a good job.
Yeah, yeah.
I like what I
Nice.
did. Okay, wow, wow, wow. And that's what's kind of fun though. While we're on set, I actually get to see playback.
Mm-hmm.
So I can sit there and like, okay, I see the playback. And if I do anything I don't like, I can like make a mental note there. I'm like, okay, let's change that. I can like just say, can I do that again?
Yeah.
I don't like, but usually like Damien and I, we have like the same instincts when it comes to things. So like I've gotten where I've learned to just trust him when he says, oh, that was great. We don't need to do anything else. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've learned to trust him
Yep.
because there have been times in like when we're doing part one where like the scene where I'm just standing there frozen when a terrorist character comes in and sees me for the first time frozen like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand what he was doing. I was like, how is this scary? How
Yeah.
is I don't get this? And then I did a little jump out at her. I'm like, how
Mm-hmm.
is this scary? He's like, trust me, the way I'm gonna edit it and put the music in and everything
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
it's gonna be freaky. I'm like, okay, okay, cool. And then I saw it and I'm like, oh dude, totally get it now. Okay, cool, 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 cool. So ever since then, I'm like, okay, I trust you completely when you have a note because sometimes I have an idea for something. It's like that's fun, but let's try
Mm-hmm.
it this way too. And I'm like, okay, cool,
Yeah. Yeah. We have a question on Facebook Live.
cool.
From P3 Theater Company. There was some criticism. What was there some criticism on how Actors Equity handled the pandemic at the beginning as far as talent?
Like what criticism?
Oh,
Criticism.
uh, did you feel Saga handled the situation well from the get go? Do you think like
I feel that they did pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I will say that a lot of the regulations they've put in place are a little bit strict though. It just
mhm.
like they want to like do testing 3 times a week on
Oh wow.
sets, and that makes it very hard for non big studio like the lower budget the indie scene because that's
Yeah.
expensive. You can't get a medical professional out on set and pay them. That's an extra expense. I mean, that costs us about $100,000 extra just to
Oh
do all
really?
of that. Yeah,
Wow.
it's and when you're already on tight on budget too, that
Yeah.
makes it very difficult. So it's just like, oh geez, but but I can understand at the same time because they're trying to make sure everybody's healthy and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Because
exactly.
it's just I luckily, you know, our film doesn't use a lot of, like, we already filmed our big crowd scenes, so we don't have to worry about that. All of
Hmm.
the rest of our scenes are small scenes, but you know, I can understand how that would be difficult for other films and everything
For
like
sure.
that right now. So it's definitely a challenge, but hopefully we're going to get past this, you know, in the next few
Yeah.
months or something. That's what I'm hoping.
Hmm. Speaking of pandemic, do you think that the entertainment and theater industry will come back up? Do you think we'll get
Yeah.
back to it?
Oh, of course, because you know, this industry is one of the oldest industries ever. It's just like it, like acting goes back to ancient Greece. People want to be entertained, especially when things are bad.
Yeah.
When people want a way to escape from the craziness of the world, and that's what our job is to do. We're there to, you know, give them that escape. And so there's always going to be that need for what we do. People will always want to go see plays. They will always want to see movies. They want to be entertained. So yeah, this will definitely bounce back. No, there's no doubt about that.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope it does for sure. Because I mean, like, thousands of people, millions of people have jobs,
Yeah.
and it's,
Yeah.
I think
Well,
we
you look
we
at
need some entertainment, obviously.
you look at, you know, back during the Great Depression. You know, that was actually one of the industries that actually thrived, is because there was still demand for it, because
Hmm.
people needed some escapism from the sadness and the hardships they were enduring. They could
Yeah,
still see a movie and be like, oh, just for 2 hours they could escape. And so yeah, there's always going to be that demand there.
nice. Which movie did you enjoy? Have you enjoyed the best? Like, if Terrifier 1 or Terrifier 2, which
Oh,
one do you
Terrified
enjoy?
too.
Yeah.
Terrified too. It's just everything about this movie is, you know, better than the first. It's just it's God.
Yeah.
It's such a fun film. I can't wait for everybody to see it. I'm just it's oh it's everything.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Terrifier 2, I did. Could you sneak peek us anything? If there are any fans out there that want to know details, could you sneak
Yeah,
in maybe?
a little bit. I mean, like I would say, you know, you expect everything to be bigger and better than the first one. The kill scenes are even more gory than the first.
Hmm.
You thought the hacksaw scene was pretty gross. You ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah, the first few minutes of the film, Damien and I were like, oh my god, like my first whack that I did on the guy. Damien's like, you know, that would be an entire kill in a Jason movie. That would be it right there.
Yeah.
And then we kept going. We decided, like, if the MPAA came in and gave us a rating, they would give us an NC-17 rating from the get go, just from that first scene.
Hmm.
So it just
Yeah.
it's pretty out there. But I mean, we would, you know, the first one was basically an introduction to art. The second film is really going to be an introduction and an origin story of our new protagonist, Sienna. So this is
Okay.
like, you know, art's a big part of the movie. Don't worry about that. He's front and center too the whole entire time. But this is her story. So we now know about art. Now we're building up her story. So like we're building up the Batman to Art's Joker, as I like to say.
Hmm. Nice.
So yeah, so it's a lot about her and her brother and how they deal, because this all takes place a year after the events of the first film.
Okay.
So Art's back and they're having to deal with him coming back and him hunting, because he's specifically hunting her down for a reason I can't get into.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's
Yeah.
fun. It's just crazy, and she's not one of those characters that takes things lying down. So she's one of those characters that fights back. She's very Sarah Connor, very Ellen Ripley like, which I
Yes.
love about this character. She's a badass, and I
Yeah.
can't wait for people to see them go head to head with each other, because like I will say, like, the last 15 minutes of the film is a huge roller coaster ride. It's just like, holy crap,
Yeah.
because that's one thing we wanted to do specifically. Like Damien's attitude is like, you have to start the movie off with a bang, and you have to end it with a bigger bang, because
Yep.
those are the two things people remember most about a movie. Everything in between could be a little bit, but you have to make it big and memorable at the
Yes.
beginning and the end, and that's what we set out to do, and it's crazy.
That's I if there are fans out there, like, I bet you all excited. I mean, I'm kind of excited. I mean, I've not seen Terrifier 1, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so excited. It seems exciting.
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited
of
because like
course.
I can't wait to see it all put together myself because I'm like
Definitely, yeah.
because like we released the trailer and then
Hmm.
like everybody's like, oh my god, they showed everything in the trailer. Like, oh no, not at
You haven't
all.
seen nothing, nope.
Oh,
Yeah.
there are characters that are interesting characters in the film that you haven't even seen yet. You don't even know about. There are all these big, huge set pieces that you haven't seen yet. You haven't seen any of the kills yet. So it's just like, oh, you haven't seen anything. And that trailer was just a little bit of a tease.
Yes, yes. Do you think there'll be a Terrifier 3 in the future? Do you
Oh, we
think?
definitely hope so.
Yeah.
We this whole entire time, Damien's had like a trilogy in mind.
Hmm.
So like actually he said for the original cut of Terrifier 2, the original script he wrote, there was a whole prologue that he wrote that we just couldn't fit into this movie time
Hmm.
wise. It would just
Yeah.
make the movie almost 3 hours long probably.
Hmm.
But it's a really cool prologue, gives you a lot more information about art, and so that's how we want to start off the third film.
Nice.
And we also already know how we want to end the third film
Oh
too.
wow.
So
Nice.
we know where to take things. So
Good.
it's just we
Yeah.
got to figure out everything in between, and we got time for that. That's no we'll finish Terrifier 2, and we're already spitballing ideas for Terrifier 3. So
Great.
yeah.
Great. When did Terrifier 1 come out again?
We originally released in March of 2018.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
Not pretty recent still. What's the runtime on Terrifier 1? Do you know?
I think Damien said right now it's looking like it has a runtime of 2 hours and maybe 10 minutes, but he's got to cut some of
Yeah.
that time out. But
Nice.
but yeah, it's definitely longer than the first film because the
Nice.
first
Yeah.
film was even 90 minutes long. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's going to
Nice.
be at least another 30 minutes tacked onto it. So yeah.
Great. Cool. That's good. So basically, back to COVID. Do you have anyone? Do you know anyone who had COVID or has experienced that?
Yeah. My sister actually just got over it. She's
Oh wow.
mentally and physically handicapped, and she's got diabetes and stuff like that. So that was kind of worrisome. But
Mm-hmm.
she recently went back in for tests, and she came up negative. So that was
Good.
a relief. I
That's
also
good.
I've lost a few people I know to it, especially like a old friend from back home in Alabama.
Uh huh.
He passed away from it, unfortunately. His wife got it too because she had to give him CPR,
Oh.
and but
Oh wow.
but she recovered too, so that
Okay.
was
Good.
thankful. But it was just heartbreaking because
Yeah.
here he passes away and she's having to deal with all this by herself because no one can come comfort her. Her
Yeah. Yeah.
son's gonna be around her. No one could be around her for
Mm-hmm.
like 2-3 weeks
Yeah.
dealing with that. So that was very rough. So
Yeah.
it's
That's terrible.
yeah. But I've been trying my best to stay in. I've basically been locked in my apartment for like the past 5 months, just trying to stay safe because I've taken it very seriously because
Good. Yeah.
I'm like I don't want to risk giving it to anybody else. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
if I have it, I'll probably be okay. But you never know who you might come in contact with that
For
wouldn't be
sure.
okay.
Definitely.
So you got to be you got to think of everybody else. This is one of those moments where you can't be selfish right now. You got to think about everybody. I think like it's the patriotic thing to look after our neighbors right now and our fellow
Yes.
citizens.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. For sure. Great advice. Do you have any advice for people who would like to go into movie making?
Yeah, just do it. I mean, take classes. That's a big thing. It's like because I didn't study this in college, so
Uh-huh.
I learned a lot from just doing community theater, and so that's another thing I would suggest: get involved with your local community theaters as much as possible because there's always something new to learn. But I got in classes that way. I was able to like network
Yeah.
with different directors and casting directors and agents. So that's always a good thing to do. Networking is very, very important. I don't know how many projects I've gotten, not from, I've gotten some projects I didn't even have to audition for,
Oh
but just
really?
from the connections I've made. It's like, hey, we think he would be perfect for this. And they're like, yeah, we'd love to have him and stuff like that. It's just, or like connections I made with casting directors, like, hey, Dave, we think you're perfect for this role. Can you come in? I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sure. So
Yeah.
that, and I'll also say just be persistent. It's not one of those things that is going to happen immediately. You have to just keep on keeping on, and you have to build a thick skin to rejection, because for every yes I've gotten probably about 100 no's.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just got to learn to just shrug it off and move on to the next audition. I've gotten where I just audition so much where I'm just like, I do an audition and I just forget about it. And then
Yep.
and so when like my agents contact me a few weeks later, like, hey, you booked it. I'm like, oh wow, great. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about it, but
Yeah.
great. Yep.
Yes.
So yeah, because there was a time period when I was a younger actor, I would get so tied up in my auditions and
Mm-hmm.
worrying about it, and I would get so upset if I didn't get cast in something. And you just
Yeah.
got to learn how to just keep on going, because there's always going to be more auditions. There's just always
Yeah.
don't just always think there's always something else on the horizon. So don't get discouraged. You never know what might fall in, because everything can change in a heartbeat. Like when I got cast in Terrifier, I was taking 4 months off of work, just auditioning,
Mm-hmm.
straight off audition. I just used my unemployment from when I was touring to audition, and I had been up for 4 different Broadway tours, and every single one of them fell through at the last minute. One of them literally came down to a coin toss.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
I was getting so discouraged, and then this audition for Terrifier came up, and I booked it. And I realized that if I had gotten cast in any of those Broadway productions, I wouldn't have either been able to audition for Terrifier, or I wouldn't have been able to film Terrifier. And
Yeah.
I think this actually worked out for the best for me. So you just never know. You just got to trust in the fate sometimes too. It's like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. You just got to be at the right place at the right time, and just be persistent and keep at it.
Great advice. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Yes, thank you. How'd you get introduced to how'd you get into Terrifier? How'd that come about?
Yeah, I just
Casted for
like
that.
I just saw the casting notice for it, and I went in, and this is one of those situations where I think it's important for every actor to have some kind of training in improvisation, because you
Mm-hmm.
never know when these kind of situations will arise in an audition. And I went in there and I didn't have a script. I didn't get any sides or anything like that. And I see all these other people's sides, and I'm like, oh no, this is my first feature film audition. I don't have sides. I don't look like I'm prepared. Oh God. So I go into they call me into the room, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I am so sorry. I never got any sides. Can I get some, and I can like look over them real quick, and I'll be ready for you guys. So like, and Damien's like, oh, don't worry about it. You don't need sides. Art doesn't talk.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, I know. I'll just figured there was probably a scene or something you want me to act out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, no, no. We just want you to make up a scene where you decapitate a guy and you're very happy about doing it. That's the only direction I was given. And he's like,
Oh
and
wow.
go. And I'm like, oh, can I have a few minutes to think about it? I was like, no, 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 no. We just want to see what you can do on your feet. I'm like, cool, okay. And I don't know where this came from. I just let the moment just happen, where I just came up with this whole situation where I like snuck up behind my victim very cartoonishly,
Mm-hmm.
knocked him out, took out a hacksaw, sawed off his head, picked it up, tasted it, didn't like the taste of it. So I take out a salt shaker and seasoned it.
Oh yeah. That's funny.
Tasted it again, kind of gave a thumbs up, kind of bathed in the blood a little bit, did a little
Yeah.
happy dance, and then I like skipped out on my merry way, and that's what booked me the role.
Oh
They
wow.
were laughing their heads off. It's like, hey, can you come in for a makeup test?
Oh wow.
Yeah, sure. And they had, I think Damien said that they had seen like about 7 or 8 other people before me, and they knew right then that they wanted to cast me.
Nice.
It
That's
was like
great.
it's one of those few situations where I walked out of the room basically knowing I had the part, which is very rare. But that's a great feeling to know when you walk out of that room. But I've
Mm-hmm.
had that situation happen before, because I did an episode of Gotham, and I was doing my read. I was reading the script and everything, doing the lines they were giving me, and I ended up choking on my own spit.
Oh.
And I was like, well, I didn't want to stop the scene, so I started improvising a whole situation where I'm like, about me choking, like,
Yeah.
because I was having to get rid of a body, so I'm like, move over, move over, I gotta get in there, I'm dying too, just move over, I'm gonna get. I made up this whole shtick about it, and then I
Uh-huh.
went back into the scene, and it didn't stop at all, and the casting director is just laughing her head off. And she's like, okay, that was great. And she's like, you want to do it one more time, but for real this time? I was like, yeah, sure. But I think the whole casting department was able to see that I could just improvise like that and just keep going with the scene. I had I was able to stay in character like that, and I think that's helped me book that role and stand out over all the other people that had been there. So it's kind of always good to have that kind of training in improv, because you never know when those kind of situations will arise.
Hmm.
And when you're able to respond like that effortlessly, it makes you stand out more.
For sure, for sure, definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As we wrap it up here, guys, is there anything you'd like to promote about yourself, or any social medias people can follow you on,
Yeah.
hashtags or anything?
Well, we got Terrifier 2 that I'm in the middle of filming right now. We're almost done. We're hoping to get that out to you guys within the next year. We don't know yet when, because we got to finish it up, edit it, and everything, then get it out to distribution. Whoever's gonna be distributing this thing. So we might do a
Hmm.
road show with it. We don't know yet, but it'll get out to you guys. We want to get it to you guys as soon as possible. Other than that, I'm going to be filming another. Hopefully, it's going to become another horror franchise called Stream, with
Mm,
some of the people that are also involved with Terrifier. But we got other big names from the horror industry involved with it, like
nice.
Jeffrey Combs and Felissa Rose, and I think possibly Tony Todd is involved in it. So it's like it's a really cool concept. I wish I could tell you more about it, but it's really
Still the
cool
process.
idea. Yeah, it's like we got to keep things under wrap with that. But
Yep.
and then I'm also going to be sometime next year. I'm supposed to be filming a horror western called Spirit Reckoning, where I play the anti-hero this time. I play a cowboy that's brought back from the dead after he and his family had been murdered by these outlaws. He was hung and he was burned, so they burned off his face. He's got just a
Oh yeah.
skull left. I'm like the skull cowboy, and I come back
Yeah.
for revenge. And it's very
Nice.
over the top crazy. They
Yeah.
have like, I think Lou Temple is attached to it, and Sean Patrick Flannery from like the Boondock Saints is going to be in it as well. So I'm very excited about doing that. And there's some other voiceover projects I'm working on as well. So it's all good. But
Nice.
social media wise, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under David Howard Thornton. And I also have a Cameo page, which I've been using a lot now because of the virus. Because I do a lot of convention appearances, but since I can't do conventions right now, I've been doing a lot of Cameo videos for people for like their birthdays and whatnot. So, and
Hmm.
I charge the same as I do for an autograph, just like $30. So
Nice.
I try to keep things affordable for the fans. I don't want people going
Definitely.
broke.
Especially
Yeah.
in this time of in this time of
Oh
uncertainty,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people like charge like over $150 for a
Yeah.
video, and I'm like,
And
oh,
it's
that's
crazy.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Big names, but gotta do what you gotta
Yeah,
do.
but if someone's paying $150, it's like you better not be doing just 45 seconds.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, yoy.
For sure. Yes. But again, thank you so much, David, for talking to me today, and
Oh, you're
thank you for
very welcome.
yeah. It was really great to hear about Terrifier, and hopefully
Yes,
Terrifier 2, and hopefully Terrifier 3 in the future.
yes. Who knows? Maybe
Yes.
Terrifier in space, or Art goes back in
Yes.
time. Who
You
knows?
never know.
I'll keep doing these as long as people want them.
For sure, for sure. But thank you again, and stay tuned next Tuesday at 4:30 for another episode of P3 Educates Live Series. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.